Aloha everybody, shalom. So excited to be doing this activation with you guys today. So it is the new moon, which means it's reflecting something inside of us. So what does it mean? It means that there's something new going on inside of us. So as you all know, unless you haven't been watching these videos, unless this is your first time, of course, these videos don't actually have anything to do with the moon other than the fact that we use it as a measurement of time so that we can meet 4 times every month. So if you're new, welcome. I'm just going to let you know that I'm transmitting live from an amazing place that I live called Sedona, Arizona. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. I love to see where you're all tuning in from. It kind of just like sets the foundation for us to receive the message and know where the message is being received. So just drop a comment, let me know where you're tuning in from. Whew, I hope your week is off to a good start. New moon, we're just stepping into a new cycle now. I'm just going ahead and shuffling while you guys are all tuning in. So just drop in. Set aside whatever you've been carrying emotionally, mentally. Just set it aside for now. Create the most receptivity. Do what you need to do to be the most receptive. If you need water, get up and get it. Make yourself comfortable. Make yourself cozy. Because unless you're in that state, you're not going to be receptive. And there's going to be part of your awareness focused on getting comfortable or doing what you need to do to get to that space. So just get to that space. And I'll meet you there, here, now. So good to see you guys. Illinois, UK, Queens. Awesome. Thanks for creating this grid with me, you guys. New moon, new beginning. All right. Thank you, archetypes, faces of the one in advance for bringing us this message. Okay, what is the thing that we're facing right now? What is the new challenge we're stepping into? What's the new focus for this month? Let's just uncover it now so that we can be intentional as we step into this new cycle. And what's the thing that we're letting go of? That's not just a representation of last month's cycle, but just a representation of the past in general. Something that we're letting go of to create the space, to free up the energy, to work on what our current challenge is. They're telling me to grab my Hebrew cards and use those as well. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put them together. Connecticut, West Virginia, Arizona. Amazing. So good to see you guys. All right, so we pulled a challenge and we pulled something that we need to let go of in order to be present for that challenge. Now we're going to pull an ally with the Hebrew deck that I made. And it's this one. Okay. Starting with the challenge. We start with the 10. 10 of Wands. Wands is fire, so it has to do with spirit. We're talking about the spiritual dimension first. And as you know, as in one dimension, so it is in all. Because whatever happens in one dimension reflects into the others. If you want to know more about how that pertains to the elements of the different suits of the tarot, it's all in my new book, Royal Path 2. Okay, so we're talking about the spiritual plane first because we're dealing with the element of fire. And then from there we can see how maybe that's potentially affecting the other realms of being. Like, you know, how is it affecting our mental state? How is it affecting us physically? So let's start with the primary association, which is fire and spirit. This is about carrying a burden. Are we still going to hold on to that thing that we've been holding on to up until now? Or are we finally ready to make a change? Are we finally ready to give up this futile process of giving all of our energy, putting all of our effort into this one stressful situation? What is that stressful situation for you? Or at least what has it been? Because now we're being given the opportunity, and for some it will be more challenging than for others. But what has been your most challenging thing? What is the burden that you've been carrying? What is the one maybe uncomfortable thing that you've been giving all of your energy to? And for most of us, this looks like mentally. So what is the thing that you've been giving all of your thought power to? And I'm not talking about in a positive way, okay? So for some of us, it's real bad. For some of us, we're so stuck on the worrisome thoughts about a particularly difficult situation that we're getting stuck in this loop of like, woe is me. Why am I here? Why is this not changing? How come I can't get rid of this? Will I ever be able to stop this? You know what I'm saying? We're getting stuck in these loops. And for some of us, it's very obvious, and for some of us, it's not as obvious. But I'm asking you, what is the most challenging thing in your life right now? And how have you been approaching it? How have you been dealing with it? Are you holding more fear around it and anxiety, creating the situation where you're keeping yourself stuck, where it's almost like you're actually unconsciously choosing to be stuck in the painful situation? Or do you see maybe there's an opportunity for you to shift that thinking into a more positive way, where you look at your situation from new eyes, maintaining the hope that you will be on the other side soon? Because let's be honest, I'm not just being spiritually positive and bubbly and trying to bypass here, but like in all honesty, all things must pass. Really, all things change. So are you staying with that awareness that this challenge is only temporary? Are you remembering what's really happening behind the challenge? Are you seeing the opportunity for spiritual growth? Because we're talking about fire. We're talking about spirit. So are you, as you're going through this challenging time, whatever that challenge is for you, are you maintaining awareness of the opportunity to spiritually and also psychologically grow? Because if you're not, what's happening is you're giving up your power and you're allowing yourself to become stuck in the outermost details of the situation rather than recognizing the actual opportunity that lies there for you to grow. So instead, you're getting so stuck on all the details and the victimization that you're not seeing that it's all about mind. It's all about mentality. So no matter what how bad you think your situation is it helping you to get stuck there in the thoughts about how bad it is? No. It's not. Okay? So you've got to know that you can change it. And you have to be willing to do the work to do it. Everything takes effort. Effort is one of the 4 pillars of adeptship. If you want to succeed in this life, it takes effort. And I'm not just talking about physical effort. It takes mental effort. It takes emotional effort. That's why there's 4 suits in the tarot, because they represent 4 different qualities, which are represented also by the 4 different elements, which help us to be whole, which help us to progress. Okay? So right now, it's really time to look at our challenges in a new way. See how maybe the way in which we've been perceiving our challenges has been keeping us stuck. And even if you don't particularly feel stuck, how could you feel more free? How could you grease the wheels a little more? How can you support yourself to make your process a little easier, a little more unstuck? Do you know what I'm saying? So even if you don't feel like anything is particularly difficult for you right now, how can you make it more graceful, more easy? How can you look at the changes you need to make and tell yourself, I'm on board. Tell the universe, I'm on board with these changes. I declare here now that my being interdimensionally is here now aligning with all of the processes of change that must take place for our highest good. For our highest good. And just doing that will shift so much, because some of us might be thinking, oh no, I'm good. But deep inside there's programming, there are thoughts that are playing out that are keeping us from progressing in the best way, with the most grace, with the most ease, and with less crisis. So how can we all get to that point of grace and ease with our process, affirming that I am now setting this burden down, that of course I have hope I'm going to put this down and get past it. Of course I have hope. because all things must pass. And I know that time is an illusion, but truly time is an illusion, and it's up to me how quickly or how slowly I'm going to get through this process. So rather than even focusing at all on how long or how short of a time it's going to be to get myself there, rather than even focusing on the amount of time, I'm simply going to first acknowledge that I will get there, first and foremost, okay? First and foremost, acknowledge that you'll get there, because if you don't have your motivation, if you don't have that sense of why you're doing something, that sense of purpose in it, you are way less likely to actually do it. Do you know what I'm saying? So first, it's establishing that hope, that motivation, that why, that reason that you're moving toward, knowing that, of course, I'm going to get there. Having that end goal in sight is everything. And then being honest with yourself and saying, remember, it's not about how long or how short it's going to take to get there, but how authentically and how honestly and how patiently and how virtuously, how righteously, how morally I'm going to get there. Because remember, I got to close this, it's making noise. Remember, you guys, that we're talking about fire, spirit. The whole point is to remember what this is really for. It's about our spiritual growth. So how can we even milk the process? How can we really stop focusing on when will it take place? When will I set this burden down? When? Like, it doesn't matter. Stop obsessing about how much time it's going to take for you to get over it. Because no matter how much awareness you're directing toward that, if you direct any amount of your awareness toward that, it's an amount that you're directing to the wrong place. And again, the universe doesn't care about time. It doesn't care about the amount of time. It doesn't care about the amount of energy that you're putting on the wrong thing. It's that you're putting it on the wrong thing, and that's it. We want to take all of our energy and direct it into the appropriate channels. So any part of you that's felt anxious and stuck on this, oh my God, when am I going to get rid of this thing? When am I going to be able to heal? Stop asking when and look at the situation and ask yourself what you need to do and do it. And do it good. Do it well. Give it your best. Remember the 4 agreements, right? Always do your best. Always do your best. A child knows this. Always do your best. That's what you should be focused on. Not, when am I going to heal this? Poor me. Like, no, just, okay, I'm rolling up my sleeves. What do I need to do? Let me once and for all do it. All the while keeping the end goal in mind. And again, like I said, it's not about how much time it takes, but how you get there. The quality of the experience. So how many opportunities along the way can you find to be able to cultivate your virtuous character, okay? So, for example, instead of wasting all of your thoughts on when will I finally heal this thing, we shift it to, okay, I remember that my purpose here and our purpose here is to cultivate more of that virtuous light, to transform vice to virtue, right? To be those alchemists, that's why we're here. And so instead of focusing on how long, I'm going to notice that I'm being impatient right now, and I'm going to work on cultivating patience when I feel the most impatient, because that's really why we're here. It's not even about the burden you're carrying, the drug addiction, the food addiction, the struggling relationship, the difficult job. It's not even about, all that stuff is impermanent. It's about your response and how you're maintaining the awareness that we are here to specifically stay alert of when we're feeling uncomfortable, when we're feeling full of vice, anger, impatience. We want to be dishonest. We live for those moments so that we can call in our conscious awareness and do the work and create the shift and go from dishonesty to honesty, go from impatience to patience. That's literally why we're here. So if you catch yourself in the victim mentality, remember, be patient with yourself. You're living for literally this moment now. This is why we're here. We shouldn't be like, oh man, like, it sucks that I'm in this state where I just keep, like, pitying myself. No, it's beautiful that you're doing that, because here's your first opportunity to make a change. So no matter where you're at, I don't care what your excuse is. You can say, oh, but this in my life, oh, but that. There's your first work. There's your first opportunity to make a shift. Go straight for the number one thing that you find yourself making excuses for, and I bet you'll find the biggest opportunity for growth right there. Go ahead, play the victim for a second, just to humor yourself. Journal and ask yourself, what's my biggest complaint right now? And let yourself fucking complain, you know what I'm saying? Let yourself complain. Let yourself complain and write it down. And then really look at that and ask yourself, how can I turn how can I turn my complaints into proactive activities, proactive thinking, proactive ways of taking control of my life, like taking the wheel of my life, taking accountability for my life, and not complaining, but like really shifting the way I'm looking at those things. And also not judging myself, because this is a spot that many of you can get stuck at, where we're journaling and then it's like, look at me, all I do is complain. Well, then you're just complaining about yourself, complaining. Don't fall for the trap. Don't fall for the trap. Complain and affirm why you're doing it. I'm complaining simply so that I could be honest with myself and get those thoughts out, so then I can work with what's really truly there. So allow yourself to complain. And then rather than judging yourself for all those feelings, ask yourself how you can begin to shift those things, or shift the way you look at those things. Okay, let's move along. The thing that we need to fully let go of, and some of us may have already done this, some of us may really not have done this, so we're all in different places, but the point is we can all unite in the same, we can all unite with the same response, because it doesn't matter where you're at with this. What matters is the key that we're going to get out of it, and that key will help us all wherever we're at. For example, even if you've done the work of closing up the last cycle and letting go, there may be, whatever this ally is going to tell us is going to be a message that when we say it, we help to solidify the process, we help to fortify the process. So even if you're doing the work, these characters, these allies, help to further secure what you've already realized, what you're already doing. So again, it doesn't matter where you're at, this one is going to tell us what we need to affirm in order to fully take back our energy to be present to do this. I just said, take the wheel of your life. Literally, that's the last thing I just said. And then I say wheel, and look what pops up. And I genuinely believe that the magic happens like this all the time, especially live. A lot of people say, you don't need a witness for magic. And sure, you don't need. But remember, when we all meet in actually authentic frequency, when we do work like this, we do conjure up miracles like that. The messages become ever more clear. Because as we become more receptive, the guides become more willing to share. It's a conversation. It's a relationship. So together, we're literally calling in this magic. And for those of you who are new, we've been doing this for years, every single week, and magic always unfolds because we're doing it together. Because this is a unique opportunity. There's 65 of us, 66 including me, doing this right now, in this moment, live, all over the world, connecting in this message. We do this every week. So if you're enjoying this, please join us next week. Join us as often as you like. Get in the activation portal. Hey, share this with your friends. Share this with your family, with people you think could enhance our activation portal, could enhance this message, or people that you think really need it. Share it with them. Okay, so going back, this is our first major arcanum card that we're pulling in this only 3-card reading. Okay, so this is the thing that we need to focus on in order to take back our energy, to direct it all toward the current challenge. And what this is saying to us is we need to acknowledge that we're in a new cycle. Perfect to get the wheel on the new moon, right? For the new moon reading. It's showing us to really acknowledge that we have the opportunity to take the wheel here. And the wheel came up this past cycle. I think it was last week, could have been the week before, but the wheel came up and told us that it's about time to take the wheel of our lives. To take accountability for our lives, do whatever we need to do to get into that position of feeling empowered to direct our fate, to direct our own fate. Because we're doing that unconsciously or consciously anyway. So we've been working on this past cycle, and so it's funny that this one would come up as the past card, like what we need to close up to move forward, right? So we need to once and for all, okay, so depending on the efforts you gave this whole last cycle, it will determine how you're going to step into this one. And that's how it always is. Depending on how you close up one cycle, it will reflect how you start the next. It's just like birth and death. You know what I'm saying? You find this all throughout nature. The way that we honor death, death is the way that we honor life. They're together. They are one. So we're right here saying, okay, did you do the work last month to make those changes that you needed to make in order to take control of your life? Ultimately, we're in the hands of God. The real wheel is in the hands of God. But within that, we have our own microcosmic wheel, right? So have you done the work this past month that you need to do to be in that position of confidence with the wheel of your life in your hands, knowing that you are directing your fate? Feeling empowered with the knowing that all you need to do is look to the cycles and seasons of nature, know that it's also one with you and that you can align with those processes. And if you do, nature will literally carry you through to your next stage, whatever that is. Because 10 is a 1 and 0. 1 through 9, 10 begin again. It's the 1 with the 0, the 1 going through a new round. So how much work have you done this past cycle to bring yourself to a position of confidence in your ability to be a conscious co-creator in our shared reality, to be a conscious participant in your own fate's unfolding? To the degree that you worked on that this month will reflect the opportunities that are coming into your life right now with this new cycle, with this new moon. So no matter what amount of work you did last month, maybe you didn't do any work at all, the point is they're saying, get with it right now. Recognize that you have the opportunity for a new beginning. Do what the heck you need to do now to empower yourself, to stop pitying yourself, to know that the wheel has always been in your hands. So freaking own it. Because if you don't feel that your hands are on the wheel, I mean, really close your eyes and see yourself holding the wheel of your life. If you're not in that position, ready to go, then you're not ready to do this work. You're not even ready to set down the burden and move ahead. You're just going to feel super heavy because you're not going anywhere, because you're just sitting there in park. You gotta turn the key and know that you're headed in the right direction. And let's see who the ally is. Woo-hoo! This is the Hebrew letter Shin. Hebrew letter Shin. And it kind of looks like fire. See? And it's very much connected to the element of fire. Fire is all-consuming. Fire can burn you, or it can transform you. The Shin is associated with the World card, number 21 of the tarot deck. And it's about the three worlds, all right? And we're talking about fire in the three worlds, mind, body, soul. Fire, 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 activating the mind, body, and soul, creating a level of completion that you are now reaching. It's saying, I'm lighting up my bodies in all of the worlds. And 3 is action. So it's like I'm lighting up, I'm illuminating all parts of myself so that as a whole, I can ascend to the next level of my beingness. I can deepen my initiation on this path of life, on this path of expansion, psychologically and spiritually. As you know, the World card is sort of coming to this culmination of all of our efforts. The World card represents the product of all of our efforts, the product of all of our hard work. So if this is the ally, as we go through this, it's essentially telling us to really picture what that's going to look like. Feel now, here now, what you expect it to feel like when you reach completion of your goals. Okay, so it's like, why am I even doing this? Why am I taking this opportunity to start anew? Why do I need to even put this burden down? What is ahead? Your wholeness, of course. So it's not even about what goal you're making space for or what are the details of the plan you're trying to manifest. It's not even about that. It's about understanding your potential, knowing that you're here to feel whole, knowing that you're here to feel complete and fulfilled, to then start a new cycle to reach deeper levels of fulfillment, of course, but just understanding that you have the potential to get there. Understanding you have the potential to get there, and knowing that you deserve to feel that. You deserve to feel lit up in all realms. It's not just about feeling physically healthy. It's not just about feeling mentally healthy. It's not just about feeling emotionally healthy. It's about alignment and feeling good all around, feeling whole, feeling harmonious with the parts of yourself that exist within, uniting them, feeling whole, feeling at one, feeling at peace. You have the potential to do that. And so right now, if you just stay stuck in the victimization or stay stuck in the one burden you've been carrying, you're not really honoring your potential of reaching this level of illumination and being fulfilled and feeling complete. That's really what you want to get to. And that means you have to take all parts of yourself there. You can't leave any one part of yourself behind. It's about completion. And it's also about transformation. Main thing, the Shin really has to do with transformation, okay? It's about the all-consuming fire, which again can either kill you, right? Like the story of Aaron's sons that we recently went through with the tabernacle. You know, it's like either it can completely burn you and kill you, or it can transform you. It all depends on your attitude and your conscious participation in your evolution, or maybe your unconscious evolution, participation in your evolution. So how aware are you remaining through this process of your growth? And how are you either assisting it or self-sabotaging? So it's about the all-consuming. So I'm seeing a lot of patterns here. I want to just point out to you guys, these are both 10s. And this is a major arcanum 10. And this is the 10 of the suit of fire, spirit. So it's very powerful. We're seeing endings and new beginnings. And this is the new moon. So it's quite perfect to get 2 10s, which represent endings and new beginnings. Okay, last week would have been more of a 9, like endings, right? It was a final quarter. But now we're new moon, new beginnings, so it's the 10. And then we also have the Shin, which is representing the world card, 21, this final, culmination. So just really want to point that out. Like, this is the energy that we're at right now. We're really realizing our potential, and we're affirming that potential, connecting our awareness to it, creating the neural pathway between our awareness and our potential, pulling the reality of what our potential is, the manifestation of that, toward us, because it already exists. All things already exist in an alternate dimension. So we're pulling that reality toward us as we become more aware of it, as we focus on it. So we are remembering that we're, of course, going to move past every difficult phase we go through in life, because all things must pass. And we're seeing ourselves on the other side, and we're seeing our potential for growth, and we're declaring that we're ready to do what it takes, what it's going to take to get there, to get to that next level of our beingness. And so it's like this. We've been letting this fire, right? Spirit, wands. We've been letting this burden consume us. How can we see the burden instead of as something that's literally consuming us, like the fire, right? Like the fire. How can we see the burden being the thing that's completely transforming us? So just going back to the first card that we pulled, and when we were focusing on the challenge of it, looking at it in a new way, looking at it through the eyes of the ally, the Shin, who tells us that you could let that fire burn you entirely and mess up everything on your path. Burn it all down. Or you can say, I'm going to let this fire that I'm feeling, which ultimately comes down to, when it's translated into a human emotion or feeling, it comes down to a passion. And we could be feeling it negatively or positively, right? So just going into the feeling of the element of fire as a way to access what we're talking about here, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into that. Use the element of fire to guide you. Where are you feeling worked up, passionate? And that could be in a bad way or a good way. Bad or good. Bad or good, you're the one judging it. Okay? So even if your passion and that feeling inside of you, that fire is bad, how can you identify when you're feeling it, call in your conscious awareness in that moment and say, oh, I'm going to transform this burning feeling into one that is transforming. So rather than letting that passion excite me in a way that's maybe unhealthy, perhaps by keeping me in a state of fight or flight or anxiety, instead I'm going to transform that fire. I'm going to go into it. I'm going to go into that discomfort when it arises, and I'm going to be the alchemist that I am, the elemental magician. And I'm going to go into that fire, and I'm going to transform it into an excitement, into a passion for my growth, to look at this opportunity that's been hurting me, that's been uncomfortable, as an opportunity to once and for all take the wheel and make a change and shift the fire that was killing me to a fire that's now transforming me. That's why the Shin is the ally. It's the lens that we need to look through right now. How can you transform the way in which you are connecting to the fire element right now, however unconsciously or consciously, and begin to consciously redirect that fiery energy toward our goals? So that's what the Shin is telling you. It's reminding you of your potential, and it's showing you how maybe there are some places in your life where you're going about that process in the wrong way, about achieving that potential in the wrong way. You're allowing the fires to consume you rather than allowing the fires to offer you transformation to get to where it is you've wanted to be all along. And they're showing me one more thing. They're saying that the change is right there on the other side. The thing that we've been waiting for, and like, when am I finally going to get rid of this challenge? It's right there on the other side. As soon as you accept that you've manifested this reality, and as soon as you take accountability and you say, I'm ready to look at this challenge as the thing that I've been asking for in order to transform my response to the universe, then you will progress. It's not about time. In fact, ironically, the more you stress out about how long it's going to take, the more you're just putting off this whole process. That's the paradox. So how can you once and for all accept that your greatest challenges and your most uncomfortable situations in your life are the things that you've called in? Just like the good things. You can't pretend like, oh, I did that. I brought these blessings into my life. I did the work, and so I'm getting the blessings. And then a challenge comes, like, I didn't do that. I didn't ask for that. No, I didn't. That's not mine. I don't want to deal with that. Stop playing. Stop playing yourself. Everything in your life is there for a reason. Everything, whether you judge it as good or bad, does not matter. So how can we look at all the things in our life, not just the challenge, but all the things, and go, yep, I see the prayer to the manifestation there. I see why that's in my life. I see what I did to get that. I see the decisions I made to bring this into my life. The good and the bad. And then focus on the bad. Why are you judging it as bad? What is it? What has your response been, emotionally, mentally, physically even, to that challenge? And how can you shift that? How can you not only say, okay, I guess I manifested this, so I guess I have to work through it. No, how can you get yourself to a position of going, oh shit, I absolutely manifested this. And I can even laugh at it. Oh my God, because if you can get to that level, you're in a good place. And it's okay if you can't get to that level. And you're on perfect timing for your path. But what can you do to support yourself in getting to that place of knowing that I did this, that I asked for these challenges, and that I'm ready to face them with my fullest awareness, with my fullest presence, with my fullest devotion to my path and my growth, knowing that it's really about spirit and fire. It's really about my spiritual growth. It's not about anything else. So how have I, through my resistance and through my avoidance, how have I been avoiding my own spiritual growth? Through my complaining about a situation and victimizing myself over it, how have I been wasting my time, distracting myself from the real opportunity there to grow? The one that I asked for. Because your soul is always asking for a particular opportunity to grow. It's always. Through everything you're doing, through everyone you're talking to, you are being given an opportunity to reach that next level of growth psychologically and spiritually. Always there's something. So what is it for you right now? And how can you accept that very thing that you need to grow through is being offered to you through your most uncomfortable challenge right now? Take the reins, face the challenge, and know that everything is in divine order. So especially those things that you're so ungrateful for right now are the things that you need to look at. And this was actually a little bit the message for last week. So I see how they're showing us we're refining that process now. We're being given a whole new energy, a whole new start on this journey. But they're showing us that what was going on last month is something that we're still kind of grappling with. We're still kind of dealing with it. There are still some things that we're ungrateful for, that we're really uncomfortable with in our lives, and that's us resisting our own existence. We're going, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to face it. But we have to go right toward it and accept the irony of the situation, that the things that make us the most uncomfortable are the things we need to go and deal with now. And the best thing we could do to prepare ourselves as we head toward those fears, those discomforts, is to know that we will make it through. Okay? It's like you can energetically picture yourself like you're walking toward the challenge, and you got to see yourself meeting that challenge, working through it, and getting to the other side. Because if you don't see yourself on the other side, what's the point? You got to see that you're at the end And within the end is a new beginning, because the beginning is implicit in the end, and the end is implicit in the beginning. This is the whole secret of the Alpha and the Omega, the Aleph and the Tav. You know. You've been focused too much on the ending, caterpillar. Time to focus on the new beginning, butterfly. Thank you guys so much for sitting with me for this new moon activation. Looking forward to sitting with it myself and seeing through the lens of the Shin. Seeing where I've been allowing my own fire to burn me, which I've already been seeing, you guys. You know when you just have those days where you're like, or even just a passing moment where you're like, oh, I'm tired of myself already. My goodness, I'm tired of my own shit. My goodness, like, I'm burning myself, like with my own, you know, I've been very high energy lately. Da, 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 da. And I mean, I'm usually that way, but I mean, I've been really extra busy. And da, 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 go, 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 go. And I'm burning, man. I'm burning up. It's almost like I'm a fuse that's about to blow. And so for me, and I'm sharing this with you guys, it's a little personal, but I'm sharing it with you because I want you to know I'm on this journey with you. I do this every week for me too, so that I can do this work too. So for me, this is where I'm at, just to be human, you know. I'm at this place where I need to notice how my fire is self-sabotaging, which is this expending my energy and not taking a moment to look at myself and reflect on, Rebecca, what do I need to replenish my energy now that I just spent so much of it? So that's my personal thing I'm working on. So how can I take the way that I've been experimenting unconsciously and consciously with the fire element and just redirect that, reclaim my fire, take back my fire and redistribute it more appropriately in a way that's not going to burn me out and burn the one out, but in a way that's going to uplift me, support me, nurture and nourish me, which ultimately then nurtures and nourishes the one. If I want to be the best me for us, the larger me, the one of which we're all a part, I can't be that fuse that blows. I need to keep going. I need to take care of myself. I need to make sure that I don't let that fire consume me. Thank you, Shin, for showing. Shin for showing. Shin for showing me the right way to use my fire. To be careful not to self-sabotage and let it consume me, but instead to redefine that fire and allow it to work for me in a way that's going to support me reaching my goals, reaching my next level on this journey of expansion, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, psychologically and spiritually growing. How can I use my fire for that? Not for just burning out until I blow up. You know what I'm saying? So how can you do that? The Shin will help you this week to reconnect to the fire element and use it appropriately. And I just want to remind you that all of the elements are always present to assist you on your journey. Again, I talk so much about this in my book. If you guys are interested in this kind of Kabbalistic tarot, my books are for you. It doesn't matter where you're at on your journey. If you're just a beginner, it's for you. So how can you not just look at fire, but remember all of the elements are supporting you, just like the magician in the deck. And how can you start with fire, because clearly it's our focus right now, but then redefine and reclaim your water element, your earth element, your air element. They're all your allies. They're all here to help you, and you are here to assist them, as they are the forces that move through you to make everything happen. So starting with fire, reclaim that element and your oneness with it, and affirm how it is you're actually going to use it for the highest good for you and for us right now. And then from there, you can play around with the water element, meditate on that. You can play around with the earth element and the air element. Reclaim your power in each of those elemental fields, in each of those dimensions. And in mentally doing that and meditating on it, mentally redefining, reorganizing the definitions of the elements in your head, what will happen is, remember in the beginning of this video, we said as in one dimension, so in all. As you redefine them in your mind, redefine them in your mind, redefine them in your mind, your body naturally reflects that. Because mind to matter, mind is everything, first principle of Hermetics. All is mind. So when you reorganize here, it reflects emotionally, it reflects in your later thought programs, because it becomes the foundation for everything else. The elements are the foundation for everything else. You can try to heal from the outside in. You can try to go to the outermost layer and try to keep up with all the details of your life and heal from there. Or you can go to the world of the archetypes, which live even within the world of elements, and you can find the common denominator because the elements are only 4. And you can go straight to the elemental healing, which will then, it's like an umbrella dimension, right? It's like then all the other things are healed as a byproduct of you healing the element within you, in you getting in touch with where you've been out of balance with your elements. Therein lies the key to healing much more gracefully, rather than trying to, focus on all the material entanglement and all those details. Don't go straight to the elements. Where are you out of balance with your elements? Because that is the real problem, and then that is reflecting into your life in all the ways. Okay? So if your fire's out of control, that's where you got to go extinguish it at the root, okay? You can't say, oh man, I better go fix all the relationships and all the situations that I effed up because my fire's been out of control. Rather than going to all those things first, get right with yourself, get right within yourself. And the way you do that is tuning into your fire. Hold on, before I try to fix all this shit that I burned down, let me talk to my own fire and ask my fire, ask my passion, ask my spirit, because spirit is the dimension that's connected to the fire. So ask myself, why have I been doing that? Why have I been using my fire in this way? Okay, so really analyzing it, observing, getting back in tune with your fire element as it exists within you. Have I been really consciously defining what I even believe fire to be and how that connects to my very existence? Because my ability to maintain awareness of the sacredness of the fire element and in its connection to who I am, my ability to maintain that awareness is going to affect everything I do. It's going to affect everything I do. Because if I'm not maintaining a conscious definition of what fire is, I'm going to unconsciously allow the fire element to be actualized through me. And I'm going to do a lot of dumb shit with my fire. Simply because I haven't been staying anchored in the sacred definition of fire as it exists inside of me and in all things. You see? So the more you lock in a conscious definition of each of the elements pertaining specifically to, acknowledging specifically how they pertain to you, who you are and what you do, what you're made of, what our whole world is made of. The more you are not locked into those definitions, okay, the more you move away from those and forget about it and become distracted by the outside world, the more you're going to get lost. The more you're going to get lost in the elements rather than maintaining awareness of them and navigating the field with grace, with awareness. Okay? So the more you lock in those conscious definitions, the more you anchor yourself into the conscious definitions, your conscious, not anyone else's, your conscious definitions of each of those elements, the more you stay locked into your relationship with each of those elements in a way that is conscious, the more your environment will reflect that, because the elements are the foundation of all things. All things, including you. So you see, rather than trying to take, this is really coming out of this reading, you guys, this is important information. Rather than trying to just take the wheel, it's like, how do we actually take it? How do we actually take the wheel in a way that's going to really empower us, in a way that's foundational and going to help us achieve sustainable growth? This is the way to do it. Stop focusing on the outside. We're not healing from the outside in, we're healing from the inside out. Go to the elements, redefine what each of them are, understand how each of the elements are connected to very human aspects of yourself. For example, water, the water element, which you are literally made of, is connected to your emotions. Fire, which you are literally made of, heat, is connected to your spirit, your passion. Okay, so like earth connected to your body, air connected to your mind. How can you really sit with that and really form an understanding in your mind? Because the understanding creates the empathy, it creates the compassion, it creates the relationship and connection to each of the elements. So how can you first sit with it, form an understanding of each of those elements, and then understand how it connects to you, and then hold strong in that awareness of the 4 elements, the 4 worlds, and how you are one with them. Doing that and really making that your priority focus, everything else will fall into place, because your ability to maintain your awareness of the elements as they exist inside of you, what it does is it creates a space for them to exist within you safely, harmoniously, consciously, like with dedication and awareness, it allows for those elements in you to start. It's like the elements are doing this in you because you're not aware. And then once you go bzz and you tune in and you create awareness, the elements go like this bzz, because they're elements of yourself. So they're listening, they're paying attention, your thoughts affect them. So as you say, hey guys, I'm aware you're in there, they all go, oh. As you become aware of them, they become aware of you. You're like, hey, elements, and they're like, oh, yes. And you're like, we're gonna do this now. We're gonna do this now. And as you go through your thought process, they go with you. Because as in one dimension, so in all, and you're literally made of them. Okay? So in order to do this work and kind of bypass the monkey mind, you can kind of simplify, and you can kind of do it like a child, and you can ask yourself, how can I allow these elements to harmoniously exist within me, right? It's just, hold on, let's rephrase that. I don't want to take this too far now. We've already gone very deep. So they're telling me to just remind you guys that it's simpler than you think. It's simpler than you think. It's all about mind, okay? A child can do this. A child can do this. It's so simple. So all you got to do is organize your thoughts as far as the elements and watch how they organize within your very being. And from there, they effortlessly are expressed through you and actualized in our world. Okay, so in redefining them and staying aware of them, you're literally speaking to them inside of you and you're directing them to go this way or that. Whereas before, you may have been unconsciously connecting to them. We can't help it, we're made of them. So you've been unconsciously allowing those elements to manifest through you. Now all we're doing is adding consciousness, adding awareness, so that we become aware of the elements become aware of us. We start supporting the elements start supporting us. We direct the elements, and they listen to us. So just bring awareness into your elemental process. Take the opportunity to be the magician, the elemental, very real, very natural and organic magician that you are, and define the elements and work with them. And watch how your whole life changes. You don't need to move in the way that you've been moving from the outside in. You don't need to get stuck in the outermost layer of all the material details. Bring it back in. Focus on the elements. Stay connected. Stay connected to the elements and everything else will fall into place. Okay, they're showing me that now I can tell you this. Now I can tell you the thing that I was going to say. Now that we've prefaced it, you can see each of the elements as literally an aspect of yourself, so you can personify it. That's what the tarot does. They give you these characters that are personifications of these natural laws, right? So you can take just the 4 elements, earth, air, fire, water, and create an identity that is, you, a reflection of you in each of these elemental worlds. You can have fun with it. You can give them each a personality and create this alliance inside of yourself that is these 4 yous. The you that represents the particular worlds, each of them. So this is the fire me, this is the water me, this is the earth me, this is the air me. And I'm going to develop a bond with each of them. I'm gonna have fun with it. I'm gonna play with it. I'm even gonna pick a different crystal or a different figurine that I'm gonna put on my altar that represents each of those 4 me's. And I'm gonna take that even to the next level by using altar magic. If you don't know how to do altar magic, I have a video of it on my YouTube channel. Just type in Rebecca Magic ritual, or altar, sorry. Type in Rebecca Magic altar, A-L-T-A-R, Rebecca Magic, and you will see some tips there of what I'm talking about, how to take your practice to the next level. Okay, so create these characters in yourself, which will help you to connect to them and create the thought programs that you need to be able to redirect your energies to harmoniously manifest in the world around you. Okay, so elemental magic. Time to do that. Redirect your fire, but don't forget about the other elements. Work on them all. Know that the 4 represent the 4 worlds that make up you. And if you go straight there to do the healing, and if you stay aware of that realm, the rest becomes way more graceful. The rest becomes way more graceful. Thank you guys so much for being here now with me. Thank you for doing what you need to do to put a stop to this self-sabotage, allowing your own beautiful fire to burn you, which in the end it's fine. All forms are impermanent anyway. But how can we take the reins and use the fire for the greatest good? To transform in ways that are going to help bring more light into this world, because light lasts forever. Now we're talking, now we're giving that fire purpose. If we just allow it to keep burning ourselves, we're never getting anywhere. But if we instead sanctify the definition of fire itself and begin to use it in a way that is sacred, then we can use it to cultivate more light in this world, which has an everlasting impact That's really why we're here. So thank you for doing this work with me. And if you're having trouble connecting with the elements, or you're having trouble connecting with the archetypes, I'm here to help you connect. That's what my books are for. That's what my tarot lessons are for. Reach out to me if you have an interest in that. They're all video lessons, all recorded. So much information provided in that course. Or one-on-one readings, I'm available for that. Just make sure you book ahead of time. I'm here to help you connect to the archetypes that are there waiting to assist you. And they're there waiting to be assisted by you as well, because they're your allies and you're theirs. Thank you guys for being here now with me in this portal. I hope you share it with people who you think could benefit or you think could actually help activate this portal further. I'm on YouTube. I'm here on Facebook. Go ahead and hit follow. I'm on Instagram, Rebecca Magic. Stay connected. So happy to be doing this work with you. Happy new beginning. Peace.